Shalom, shalom, shalom. Call of Yahweh by Shema Mashak Shah. All glory and honor to Yahweh by Shema Shah. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Call of Yahweh by Shema Mashak Shah. Brother Hosea, Fisherman for Zion, coming at you again with another video through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. Give all glory and honor to Yahweh in the name of his son, Yahweh Shah. Nevertheless, peace and blessings to the brothers and sisters striving in these last days, the hopeful elect, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites. Peace and blessings, Lord willing. You're keeping this new moon and feast the trumpets to the best of your ability. Lord willing, we can get into it on what this day is about. But nevertheless, before we get into it, what the title definitely is, peace and blessings to so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. All glory and honor to the Most High God, who the world uses the title Yahweh, and Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. But nevertheless, peace and blessings. Call out Yahweh by Shema Mashak Shah. Peace and blessings to those that striving and enduring, keeping these feast days and high holy days to the best of their ability. Peace and blessings to those that striving and enduring, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel, going to and fro in the highways and byways, doing everything they can to reverence and magnify the Most High while afflicting themselves and keeping these laws, statutes, commandments, and putting themselves on the back burner and putting the Most High at the top. Nevertheless, we are live on the backup channel as well, trying to knock two birds out with one stone, spreading forth this word to the best of our ability, commanded to do this work while we're in this captivity, regardless of what's going on, and commanded to watch for prophecies as well. But peace and blessings to the wives and the children, and to those that are not married. Continue to present your body, live a sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yahweh Shem Shah, which is your reasonable service. And all glory and honor to the Most High, and peace and blessings to the elders and the leaders in the nation of Israel through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah. But nevertheless, the title is Over Righteous, Over Zealous, Don't Destroy Yourself. So a lot of times you may see things in the Bible dealing with precepts saying don't be righteous over much, and sometimes you may think that's talking about this, or you think they may be talking about that, but really, you got to get an understanding. And the Lord says, with all that get understanding. We're gonna get a quick precept, but you don't want to try to put two and two and one and say, okay, this is what this is talking about, so I can do this, and you go about your own way. We don't want to move in that spirit. We want to be able to get in the sense of understanding on what the Lord is putting out, so we can pick up, and we don't just pick up what we want to pick up. So nevertheless, let me get this quick precept right quick in Proverbs. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 7. So I'm gonna start at verse 5. Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 5, and it reads, "Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. For get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." So regardless of where you think you are in the spirit, regardless of where you think you are in the faith, regardless of where you think you are in this truth, regardless of where you think you are if you're a religious person, the basics is getting understanding and making sure we have a firm root understanding on what the Lord is literally allowing us to do, and allowing us to be able to take in as far as righteousness. So let me get another precept right quick. Psalms 119. It's the book of Psalms chapter 119, and I'm gonna start at verse 99. Psalms 119 verse 99, and it reads, "I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. I understand more than the ancients, because I keep thy precepts." And I'm gonna jump down to verse 104. Psalms 119 verse 104. "Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way." So the Most High commanded us to get the understanding through the precepts. The Most High commanded us to go according to his word. Let me get this one right quick in Isaiah. This book of Isaiah chapter 28. Real quick precept. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 28 And I'm gonna start at verse 9, Isaiah 28, verse 9, and it reads, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. So to be able to understand what the Lord is dealing with, you got to take out the old, break down the old, and put in the new, to be able to get the understanding of the Most High, to be able to understand how the Most High can give us a firm foundation, because you can't build no new house on a bad foundation. You have to literally uh, destroy and put away the old in order to be able to build. Because if you try to build something new on a bad foundation, sooner or later, you're gonna witness things are decaying, things are not in the way that it should be. Shalom, shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabbat. Shalom, brother. You're gonna have to understand that in order to be able to build, you're gonna have to be able to take away and put new things in place. Just like you can't go to a new relationship, regardless of what relationship it is, and still have the same mindset that you literally just came from. You're dealing with a whole new thing. You're dealing with a whole new person, a different person that have different experiences in life than the last person. Or if you go to a new job, you can't just say, "Well, I used to do this at my other job." You always hear that. I'm coming to a new job. I'm on a new job, and this is what I used to do at my other job. Their institution, their business, you know, they want to know, hey, okay, well, is he gonna come to work on time? You may been going to work late all the time at your old job, and they may have let you slide by, but this new job they may not tolerate that. So you got to break down the old, put away the old, and apply this new foundation. So the Lord is saying you can't come into this truth with a Christianity mindset, a Jehovah Witness mindset, a Seventh-day Adventist mindset. Because you may find out that, hey, I didn't know this was in the Bible. You may find new things. The Lord may speak to you in a different tone. The Lord may deal with you in a different manner. So the Lord is saying those that are given knowledge and taught knowledge, they got to understand that, hey, they're in the same spirit as a newborn babe. You know, when a child comes out of the womb, you're not going to give this child the same thing you give a 3-year-old or 4-year-old or 5-year-old. You're going to tolerate and do things in a different manner. Isaiah 29, reading on Isaiah 29 and verse 10. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little and there a little. So we gotta, in order to get a clear understanding and make sure we're not giving into false doctrine, and make sure we're not just going after our own ways, make sure we're not going based on what TD Jakes says and based on what the false prophets saying. We gotta go, thus say the Lord. We gotta go here, we gotta go there, and we gotta go line upon line. So you may have some point of view of being over righteous or being over zealous. You may thought this was this, this was that. So through the spirit we're gonna get to the matter. And but before I get there, let me get this right quick. And let me get this quick precept in Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 1, and it reads, Isaiah 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that covered with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. So you have a lot of rebellious Christians. You have a lot of rebellious so-called followers of Christ, and they not going, or coming, should I say, they're not coming to the spirit, following the Lord. Thus said the Lord. The Lord uses his creation. He uses prophets. He uses teachers. He uses his apostles to be able to push his word, to be able to get this word out. And a lot of people, they hear it, they may be receiving it, but hey, like you read in Mark, them seeds are planted on stony grounds. They don't really want to keep the commandments. They don't really want to follow the Lord sincerely. Honestly, they don't really want to follow the Lord according to pure righteousness. They only want to follow the Lord based on vainglory, want to be seen amongst man. They want to receive some crown amongst men, some glorification. They may want to get, with the trend. They see that you can have multiple wives. They see that, okay, I see how things is moving. So you got to be able to understand, certain things according to when you take those scales off, when you take that blindfold off, you know. Verse 2, Isaiah 30 in chapter 30, verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So a lot of people, they want to trust in the society and don't want to trust in the Most High, because when you keep these precepts, you gotta trust in the Most High with these precepts. You can't just say, "Oh, I know this breakdown, I know this," because there's gonna come a time when those breakdowns and everything it's gonna be very palatable that you understand and you have the word in your mind, but that's not gonna save you. Faith, keeping the law, statutes, commandments, trusting and believing in the Most High. Grace and mercy is what's going to save you. We can get many precepts in Romans about that. We can get many precepts in Galatians about that. But understanding how the Most High gets down, we have to be able to go according to the ways of the Most High. Let me get this right quick in Proverbs chapter 3. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, right quick. It's the book of Proverbs chapter 3, starting at verse 5, and it reads, trust in the Lord Yahweh with thy own heart. So like, trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thine heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. So our own understanding, it may be based on what we seen or what we heard or what some viewpoint or some opinion, and lean not onto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. So even if you don't have all of the in-depths and the secrets and the dark sands and all of the understanding that other people may have or other brothers and sisters may have that you may see or hear about, the Lord said, if you acknowledge me in all your ways, he's going to direct you to the truth. He's going to direct you to the righteousness. He's going to direct you to the spirit that you should be in, even, if you stumble and fall, because we all stumble and fall, we all fall short. Romans chapter 3, all have fell short of the glory of Yahweh Shem Shah and came short, except for Yahweh Shah, except for the Messiah Christ, So nevertheless, let's get into it. I didn't want us to be too long through the spirit, let's get straight into it. This is over righteous, over zealous. Don't destroy yourself, because you may think over righteous is something as far as, oh, I don't have to keep that commandment, I don't have to keep that feast day, I don't have to keep that holy day, or you may think overzealous may be, oh, I don't have to be consistent in keeping the commandments, or I don't have to be consistent in doing my works for the Lord. That's literally not what it's talking about. You gotta get a good understanding on how the Most High gets down and really what the Most High is dealing with, because some of the ways, according to the Gentiles, the heathen, and also wicked Israelites, wicked so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because in Psalms it said we've learned from the heathen, we've took on the customs of the Edomites, the Amalekites, the Jebusites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, So you can't just go based on how the world view things. We got to go based on what the Lord is dealing with. So let's go to Proverbs chapter 3 real quick. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 3. And so like trying to knock out two birds on one stone. We live on another backup camp channel, to make sure we get the word out as possible as we can with this grace and mercy before the famine of the word come and before all of these prophecies kick off. Because the Lord said this gospel got to be taught across the four corners of the earth, meaning a complete amount of the earth. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 7, and it reads, be not wise in thy own eyes, fear the Lord Yahweh and depart from evil. So the Lord commanded us to not be wise in our own eyes, So your mom may tell you a lot of things. Your mom may say, well, hey, you're a righteous man. You've been praying, you've been fasting, you've been doing things, So even you can even go to the accounts in the book of Job and see, like, he was literally telling the Most High through the Spirit of power of Yahweh Shem Shai that, hey, I've kept the commandments. You know, I've did this, I've did that. I haven't sinned. You know, so you may feel like, hey, you know, I'm keeping the commandments. You know, hey, I'm keeping the high holy days. I'm keeping the feast days. You know, I'm working, paying my bills, taking care of my family. You know, I'm a man of the Lord. I'm a man of God. You know, but when you go against a lot of things that the Lord lay down, which, you know, even I'm still learning in His truth, you know, in this walk of faith, these laws, statutes, commandments. You know, we should be learning every day. We should be applying these laws, statutes, commandments to our understanding in our walk of life, not as the ways of our mouth, but, you know, as far as applying, you know. Let me get this quick piece here right quick, because a lot of people say, you know, oh, this brother mighty, this sister mighty. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but you got to understand, when it comes to the Lord, His ways is not your ways. You know, let me get this quick precept right quick. Salaki, let me get this quick precept. Uh, Bear with me. Phone acting up. Let's go to the book of Salaki. Let's go to the book of Psalms right quick. This is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms. I'm gonna start at I'm gonna go to chapter 1. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse I'm gonna start at verse 1. Psalms chapter 1, verse 1. And it reads: Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standing in the way of sinners, nor sitting in the seat of the scornful. So, the Lord said, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. So a lot of times in this truth, in this walk of faith, we may have walked in ways that we thought was right, you know, because when you walk, you got to understand this. For one, let me see how I can make this make sense. When you walk, you're literally walking, and if you may be walking down the street, you may be in the heat, you know, the sun may be on you, you may be sweating. So your flesh is going to tell you one thing, and your spirit is going to tell you another. So when you walking, you're dealing with the current moment, you know. So a lot of things that you may meditate on and you may go through, that's literally at that time, you know. So if a car come by and you walking and they try to run you off the road, now you got to deal with that. So you in real time. So when you walking in the ways that you feel like you walking, you may feel like you're walking right. You know, you may be on the left side of the street, you may be on the right side of the street. You think you're doing things right in your own eyes. You know, somebody may pull over, they say, hey, you kind of gotta put a reflective lighting on, because if you walking at night and nobody's seeing you, you know, you can get hit. So hey, they may say, well, you know, almost hit you. You know, I didn't know you was right there. So you may feel like, well, you know, hold on, I'm right though. You know, they wrong. You know, so the Lord said, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. You know, if you taking heed to somebody that's ungodly, they may put a spirit on you, and you may be saying to yourself, well, hold on now, I'm right and they wrong. And I thought, you know, I was, you know, doing the things that the Lord told me to do. You know, so you got to understand that, hey, when you taking counsel, you know, you gotta make sure it's of the Most High. You know, because that may make you feel like that you're over righteous, or they may feel like they righteous. You know, and really, let me get this quick precept. So like, not precept, but let me see if I can get the blue letter on this. It may not give me what I want. Let me see. Let's get this right quick. Let's get this right quick in Proverbs. So we still on Proverbs chapter 3 right quick. Let me get this blue letter definition right quick on wise. So So let me see. Let me turn my volume up right quick.
Strong's H2450. Chacham. Chacham.
So hakam. So wise is skillful, wise, crafty, cunning, learned. I kind of like learned better. So every day is an opportunity for you to learn. You know, you may not know how to you may not know as a man, you may not know how to work on cars, but now you have the ability to have YouTube. You can kind of go on YouTube and your alternator might go out. You can kind of go on YouTube and say, well, how to fix. You may have a Mazda or something like that. Whatever car you got, you may type in how to change your alternator on a Mazda. you know, and it may give you all of the videos to be able to show you. So now you have the ability to have social media, as the Lord said in Daniel, knowledge shall be increased in the last days. So you have the word coming out more, and you have technology at an all-time high. So being over righteous can also have somewhat to do with being wise. So you got a lot of wise men. Hey, the Lord said the wisdom of this world is abomination unto him, roughly paraphrasing. You got uh internet at all type of levels that the prophets didn't have. The prophets didn't deal with the internet. The prophets didn't deal with being able to go to the airport, being able to fly to another country in an hour, 2 hours tops, 3 hours. You can get from Raleigh to Los Angeles in 4 hours, 5 hours. The prophets, man, they will love to see these days that we're in. If you understand, according to the truth, you understand how regeneration and spirits being brought back on the earth, things like that. But literally in this flesh, the flesh that they was in, they would love to see the times they were in, how you can be able to travel, and different things, how you can be able to see another brother in another state. So the wisdom that this world deals with is technology and the devices that they deal with. So being wise, as the definition told us, skill, learned. You're learning every day. You may learn a different Bible verse. um you may have learned a Bible verse yesterday, and then next week you may learn something different. you know so you may learn something different. We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us, and he that is not of God power heareth not us. So mighty precept. We understand that the Lord hears the saints that's keeping the law, statutes, commandments. Not falling short willfully, but we understand how the Most High get up with the saints and hearing and taking their requests and things like that through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah. 1 John chapter 4 and 3, the mighty precept. We understand that the wisdom that the Lord deals with is knowing, prophecy, knowing the gospels, knowing the law, statutes, commandments, knowing how to love, knowing what love is, loving your brothers and sisters, honoring your mother and father, things like that. And also, how the Lord deals with similitudes, dark sayings, and parables and things like that, and allegories. So as you learn, you may feel like you're wise. You may feel like you're doing things right, but you got to understand you're in a whole total different environment than what your foremothers and your forefathers was in. You have different. You have it's the same wicked spirits, but you have different things. You have athletes, you have singers, you have rappers, you have uh false prophets at a more rapid scale. You have witchcraft, drugs, pharmaceutical things like that. And you have herbs, that's being enhanced in the labs. You have all of this stuff on the left hand side of wickedness, and you also still have things on the right hand side as far as righteousness. So it's a lot, that you may be around that may be trying to hinder you. And you may feel like, well, I know a lot. I know this, I know that. I know I'm right. I can't be wrong. But getting down to it, stand on topic. Let's go back to Proverbs. So, being over righteous literally goes into, it means righteous in your own eyes. You may feel like you're righteous in your own eyes. It's not you being over righteous, you're overdoing the commandments. So now I'm keeping all 613 commandments. That's not what being over righteous is. Over righteous is being right in your own eyes. So let's go back to Proverbs right quick. Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 7. And it reads Proverbs 3 and 7 again. It says, be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord Yahweh and depart from evil. So let me get another precept in Psalms. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 37. So being over righteous is being wise in your own eyes. Proverbs, it's like it's Psalms 37 and verse 23, and it reads Psalms 37 and verse 23. And it reads, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord Yahweh, and he delight in his way. So the steps of a good man, you may say, I'm a good man, I'm a good father, or I'm a good woman, or I'm a good wife, or I'm a good servant of the Lord. Well, if you feel like you're good, your ways are going to be predicated upon the Most High's ways, you know. So if you're wise, you're going to be attentive to learning, you know, being skillful. You're skillful in the word of the Most High. You know, you're skillful in Genesis, you're skillful in Revelation, you're skillful in prophecy, you're skillful in the Gospels, you know, you learn. You're not just tossed to and fro where, what does that mean? You know, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna tell you what it means. You know, now you're being over righteous. You know, you're being wise in your own eyes. You know, you're saying things out of your mouth that doesn't really link up with what the Most High is saying. You know, you're not married, but you're trying to tell somebody else how their marriage should be ran. And not only that, you know, you can't even control your spirit. You can't even control your anger. And you're trying to tell another man how he should treat his wife, you know. And all of the times you was courting and all of the times you have encounters with women, you know, it was nothing but chaos, you know. So now you've been over righteous because you think you're wise and you think you know things, but really you're you're totally upside down. So that's being over righteous by being wise in your own eyes, you know. So let me read this one more time. Psalm 37 and 23, and it reads, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delight in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord Yahweh upholdeth him with his hand. So even if you fall, the Lord said he's going to uphold you, you know, because you're not being over righteous. You're not trying to be wise in your own eyes. So if somebody corrects you, you know, because the Lord deals with correction, the Lord deals with judgment, the Lord deals with, you know, that's Sirach 31, you know, that's Sirach 21, you know, you don't hate to be corrected, you know, that's Hebrews, you know, the Lord chastise those he loves, you know, he's going to correct those he loves, you know. So you don't even want to be taught, you don't even want to be corrected as a man of God, as a woman of the Most High, as an Israelite, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and yet, you know, you're thinking you wise. You know, a wise man is going to understand that, hey, when knowledge is around him, when understanding is around him, when the words of life are around him, hey, he's gonna, you know, close his mouth. You know, he's gonna listen. You know, let me get this right quick in James. This is the book of James. So yeah, over righteous means you're being righteous in your own eyes. This is the book of James, chapter 1. And I'm gonna start at verse 19. James chapter 1 and verse 19. And it reads, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear. So, it said, let every man be swift to hear. That's a wise man, a wise woman, you know, quickly trying to hear. You know, if it came down to it for us to go get delivered out of Babylon the Great, Lord willing, we get delivered out of here, you know, during the Jubilee, during the liberation of the Israelites, you know, the second coming of our King, our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, the Messiah, you know, Lord willing, if we're in the wilderness, you know, if we don't have the spirit of humbleness and meekness and want to be righteous and blameless and spotless in the eyes of the Most High, if you don't have the spirit of wanting to listen, then you may have a spirit of pride. You may have a spirit of proudness. You may feel like you're wise, and you may feel like, well, he don't know what he's talking about. You know, the first thing they say, it may not go with your spirit, but you don't want to continue listening because the first thing they say, you don't want to say, well, hey, and the whole time you may not even know who that person is. You may not even know who that person is, and literally maybe set up in the wilderness to be able to instruct, you to go in the ways that you should, you know. So you may feel like, hey, I'm gonna do my own thing. That's being over righteous. When you say I'm gonna do my own thing, that's being over righteous, because you're right in your own eyes, and you gotta understand that listening, if you don't listen, how can you get the perspective of this is right and this is wrong? If you don't listen, you know, if we don't listen to the Most High, if we don't listen to the Spirit that the Most High is given, if we don't listen to the Spirit of righteousness and the things that He's given our Holy Spirit, hey, how can you be sent to the right direction? So James 1:19, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, so a being slow to speak is wise as well, and a righteous thing to do, you know, because if you always trying to speak, hey, I even gotta make sure I watch myself and I'm not over talking brothers and I'm not over talking sisters. I'm not over talking, my wife when she conversates with me, when I conversates with her, and we'll be doing things of righteousness, because you got to be able to communicate, you got to be able to let the other person speak and you listen, and when the other person is listening, you speak, hey, that's according to the law, if you talking over your brother or your sister, that's literally against the law. That's showing total disrespect towards your brother and your sister. And how can you teach your child if your child is not listening? Your child got their headphones on and you trying to get them to hear what you got to say. You trying to reason with them. you know so we got to understand that it's important for us to listen. It's important for us to know when to speak, and it's important to what? Slow to wrath. you know so your wrath could get in the place of you being wise in your own eyes. And this happened to the Israelites a lot, even in the law. Let me get this right quick in Deuteronomy. So Deuteronomy chapter 28, let me get this right quick. Deuteronomy chapter 28, you know, Deuteronomy chapter 28, and I'm gonna start at verse 54. Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. This strictly in the law. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. So, having an evil eye, that's literally going back to the law. Having an evil eye towards your brother and your sister, that's going dealing with your wrath, allowing your wrath to overtake itself. And now you're being over righteous. And thinking your wrath is the utmost solution at that moment. You may have a disagreement with your ex-wife or your ex-husband. Y'all may have children together. Y'all, maybe sharing custody. You may say, no, you can't get them this day, and I want them this day. Next thing you know, you just, speaking all out of the side of your neck, you know, thinking that it's righteous and wise to just show your wrath, thinking that they will reason with you because, you now you're showing yourself, he really cares, which that's not the best way to go. When the Lord told us to be slow to wrath, so we got to allow these precepts to sup with us, and we got to apply these precepts, so we're not over righteous, thinking we're right, when the Lord said, let me get this right quick in Psalms. The Lord say, be merciful. Let's go to Psalms 18. And it may take time. This is why grace and mercy are here. You don't want to think you're wise in your own eyes, thinking, you can show your wrath to somebody in the exchange of an argument, of words, and you cussing somebody out, so-called cursing somebody out, and you're throwing a fit, and now you're getting upset, when the Lord said it's better to be merciful, because if you really truly love the Lord, you're going to show the Most High that you love him by humbling yourself, by keeping yourself from a position where you may strike a blow, or you may say something that you're gonna have to ask for forgiveness for. Before the Day of Atonement kick off, you might say, Salaki, I was off what I said. When all you had to do was stay in the spirit and don't allow other spirits to get you out of the spirit, and don't think that you're wise in your own mind, in your own eyes. This is Psalm chapter 18 and verse 25. Psalm chapter 18 and verse 25, and it reads, "With the merciful, thou wilt shew thyself merciful." So if you want mercy from the Most High, you're going to have mercy on other people. You're going to say, well, this person is off. I could say so many things, but I'm not going to be wise in my own mind. I'm not going to be over righteous. I'm going to show the Most High that, hey, he has given me wisdom. He has given me knowledge. He has given me understanding, and I'm going to use it. Not saying we're not going to fall short. Everybody's going to fall short. But as we read earlier, the definition of wise is learned. You're going to learn as you go by day to day. You're going to learn from your mistakes. Being wise isn't just more. This is what and more than your other fellow colleagues. More than your brother on your right, on your left. More than your sister. Being wise is learning, being skillful. You're going to apply these laws, statutes, commandments, and these statutes to your day-to-day life, to your walk of faith, to your belief, to you showing the Most High how much you care about him, how much you love him. So you're going to be skillful and learn and apply what you've learned to your day-to-day life. So next time you get in an argument with your spouse, with your wife, with your husband, you're going to apply what you've been studying, what you've been taking in, and you're going to apply that in that moment, in that heat, in that adversity, in that reality. Or when you have a disagreement with your child, you're going to say, well, you know what? When I was your age, I didn't do that. But I understand this is a different generation. You're going to go about certain things, and you're going to be wise, and you're going to be circumspect. You're going to have discernment. You're going to approach that situation in a whole totally different manner, So let me go to Romans right quick. Didn't want this to be too long, but nevertheless, not quenching the spirit. Let's go to Romans chapter 12 and starting at verse 16. It's the book of Romans chapter 12, starting at verse 16, and it reads, "Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but consent to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits." So touching on the top part and breaking down and dissecting the others, be not of, it's like it said, be of the same mind one toward another. So you have to understand what mind this person is. This person may hate you, when you're dealing with others, because the Lord put us around each other to be able to convocate with one another. You can't just sit back and say you're Israelite, so-called Black, Spanish, and Native Americans. You just want to be alone. Where's the challenging at when you're alone by yourself? You say you're an introvert, or you say you're an extrovert, or whatever the world puts out there. You solo. You always want to be by yourself. Where is the showing your light and the showing how much you love the Lord, how much you believe and trust in the Lord by you being by yourself? Where's the challenging and the sacrifices coming in that? How can you show somebody that example? Mary, she wasn't just saying, well, I don't want to deal with nobody. Peter wasn't just saying, well, I'm going to just sit over here and I'm going to just chill. King David wasn't saying, well, I'm the king, I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to just chill over here. Where is the challenging at when you don't want to deal with nobody? Now you're getting to the point where you don't even know your calling because you don't want to deal with people. The Lord, if the Moses had to just say, I'm gonna be by myself, how would he have known that he's a leader? He's literally set up to lead the Israelites into the promised land. Or Joshua, you know, how would King Solomon have known that the Lord has called him to be the king and to be able to ask for wisdom, to be able to know how to judge his people? So you have to understand that when you're dealing with other people, that is going to challenge you to be on a higher level, to be able to be that example. You know, how can you become a better husband if you've never been in a situation where you never had to deal with other people? How can you become a better wife if you've never been in a situation where you never had to deal with other people? How can you become a better father when you've never been in a situation where you have to deal with other attitudes, other emotions? You know, we have to figure out what it is as far as being wise and what it is as far as being righteous in our own eyes. You know, you may feel like, hey, this is the best way for me to go about disciplining my child or making a decision with my wife, you know, knowing when to draw the line, knowing when not to draw the line, knowing when to get counsel, when not to get counsel, or if y'all have some type of agreement or disagreement, you know, you can't just say, hey, I know what's right. I'm the man and you're the woman. Or if you're a woman, I'm the woman and you're the man. You know, they always say women are smarter than men, you know, and then the man say, well, yeah, the Lord made the man the head, you know. So you got to be able to know how to move and maneuver in righteousness in the ways and the eyes of the Most High, and not our own ways, you know. So reading this again, Romans chapter 12 and verse 16. Be of the same mind one toward another, you know. So even when you're dealing with another person, y'all got to understand, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I like. This is what I do. This is how I am. You know, this is what I came up like this. I was raised like this. And then the other person give you their side. Okay, I use like that. Or I was taught like this. I was brought up like this. And now y'all trying to come to one mind. Y'all know each other. So now y'all could be able to get on the same path. You know, hey, that's as well as Moses and Aaron. Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. You know, Moses and Aaron didn't just go before Pharaoh and say, I, you know, well, Moses is doing this and I'm doing this. Moses and Aaron weren't just doing what they wanted to do. They was of the same mind. They was on the same program, you know. They weren't saying, well, he wanna be about the commandments. Hey, I'm just trying to come up in here and reason with you and kick it with you. You know, they was on the same program, you know, of the same mind. You know, now you had an account where Moses was on a mountaintop for 40 days and 40 nights, and Aaron was, you know, reasoning with the Israelites, and Aaron made a golden calf. Now you had differences right there, but as far as trying to have that solid foundation, you know, being on the same mind, they was on the same program. You know, they was about the business of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They fell short, and you know, a lot of things was put in the scriptures and the gospels and the prophecies to show you that, hey, we learn from our fathers and our mothers. You know, Romans 12 and 16, be of the same mind one toward another, mind not high things. You know, so some things could be a little too high for you. You know, some things could be too high for me. You know, you may be trying to get on another brother's level, or you may be trying to get on another sister level, but you have to understand what's high for you, you know, because the Lord deals with certain things being given to others more than another. You know, I'm gonna get two quick precepts right quick. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11. Proverbs chapter 11, I'm gonna start at verse 1. Proverbs 11 and 1, first precept I want to get. Proverbs 11 and 1, and it reads, a false balance is abomination to the Lord Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. So, you may have two kids. You know, I may not have no children. You know, so your balance is different than mine. You know, my balance is different than yours. Or you may have a gift where the Lord just speaks to you, and you just all of the stuff that's in your mind is you know different than things that may be in my mind. You know, so let me get another. Let's go to uh Ephesians. Let's go to Ephesians right quick. Ephesians chapter 4, and I'm gonna start at 11. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 11, and it reads, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers. Verse 12, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Hamashiach. Verse 13, this is mighty. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God power, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. So the Lord has given many different men and women such things that may not be given to the next. What the Lord gave me may be a little different. What the Lord gave that other person may be a difference, you know. So Proverbs 11 and 1, the Lord said we got to be balanced. You know, we can't be all up here and then this is down here. This is why we're having the grace and mercy to live another day, so we can improve, and so we can learn, and so we can apply, and so we can wait patiently for the Lord while staying in tune with the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the Messiah, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. You know, so going back to Romans chapter 12 and verse 16, Romans 12 and 16, be of the same mind one toward another, mind not high things, but consent to men of low estate. You know, so somebody may be on a lower level than you, you know, so you can't just be so wise and so over righteous in your mind that you don't understand that they don't understand what you understand. So now you gotta kind of come down and get on their level. So now you kind of gotta get yourself and this is not easy, you know. So you may have to come down to a child level and actually teach a child, you know, and that comes with being a father. That comes with being a mother. You may have to come down to an adult. You may be reasoning and dealing with an adult, and they may not understand. You know, they may have an understanding of a child, you know. So the Lord said, but consent to men of low estate. And not just that, you may have a little bit more money than the next person, you know, whoever around you, whoever the Lord have around you. So you can't just say, well, if a man is struggling trying to pay his bills, you can't just say, well, you know, hey, you kind of got to get mighty. You kind of got to do better. Well, hey, you got to understand that just because you're on that level don't mean they can understand, you know, where you at or how to get on your level, you know. Hey, it can be a charity and an arm to show them and to try to educate them or edify them and help them see, like, hey, you know, I used to struggle, and you know, I used to do this, I used to do that, but now, you know, that I had been learned and I studied and I did a little research. Now, hey, I understand that I can't move like that. You know, I had to put a little on the back end. You know, once I had a child, I had to be serious about certain finances and things like that. You know, so they could be on a lower state financially, they can be on a lower state spiritually. You know, so you don't want to be wise in your on your own eyes and say, man, you know, they don't know what's going on. They don't understand. You know, hey, you could be so quick to say that, you know, but you may have been set up to help that person understand. You know, that person may be wise in their own eyes, saying, well, I ain't got to get a job. You know, I ain't got to provide for my family. We living in the last days. You know, I'm gonna just let my mama take care of my kids. She not in the truth. You know, I'm gonna just let them help me out, because hey, I'm an Israelite. I'm the chosen, and I'm gonna just let them help me out. Hey, that's been over righteous. You know, you gotta work. It's commanded to work. Genesis 30 and 30. You know, Jacob, hey, he worked for his wives. You know, Joseph was in Egypt working, you know, before the famine kicked off. You know, Christ was working, you know, he was a carpenter, you know. So you can be wise in your own eyes, thinking, yeah, you know, the Lord chose me. I'm woke and they sleep, you know, I'm gonna let them bow down to me. You know, you don't want to have that mindset, you know. So you got to be able to come down to a lower state dealing with other people, you know. Reading on. Be not wise, so like in Romans 12 and 16. Be of the same mind one toward another, mind not high things, but consent to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits, So you don't want to just think that just because you know this, just because you know that, you got all the answers. Well, hey, I thought in Psalms 23, the shepherd is the one that gives us everything we need. I shall not want, I have enough. What's given to me, I'm content with that. He allowed me to lie down in green pastures. He's protecting me, you know. So hey, we can't just think we got all the answers. If that's the case, then what's the point of having a shepherd? What's the point of going to the Most High for things that we need? And this is hey, and I kind of always try to say this. You don't want to get bored in this truth. You don't want to get bored in the walk of faith, in this marathon. It's always something to learn. It's always something to, hey, it's a lot of stuff I don't know, and I want to make sure I'm not just trying to jump the gun. I want to be able to learn. I want to be able to apply. I want to be able to continue to rejoice and to continue to have, a good spirit. You don't want to just say, it's the new moon. I got to take off work. I got to keep the feast day. Man, it's messing with my money. Man, now the family going to be asking, why did I take off work? And why are we doing this? And why? Hey, you don't want to be like that, man. You got to deal with yourself to the point where, hey, if you wasn't in a rejoicing spirit, that's something to work on. Hey, it's a lot that you can work on. Don't just be so mighty in this area and you lacking in this area. Try to be balanced. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Don't be over righteous. But nevertheless, let's move on. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Try to speed this up through the spirit. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7. And I'm going to start at verse 16. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 16. And it reads, Ecclesiastes 7 and 16. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? So, hey, straight to the point, just like the title. It says, Ecclesiastes 7 and 16. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. So what does being righteous over much mean? That means you're righteous in your own eyes. You may say, well, I'm keeping the Sabbath. I got my fringes, I got my beard, I got my hair wrapped as a woman. As a woman may have a dress. You don't want to have that mindset of, I'm doing what's required of me. So I'm righteous. I'm a child of God. I'm about to make it. I'm about to get delivered out of here. Hey, you don't want that mindset because you can mess around and boast in your righteousness and in your works. Let me get this in Job right quick. This is the book of Job chapter 9. Real quick precept. Because you may say, hey, my wife can never leave me. I'm the best thing that happened to her. Which we understand how the Lord set things up. We understand that the Lord set the man up to be able to be a covering for the woman in righteousness, to be able to guide the woman to the Most High, to be able to love the woman, care for the woman, be long-suffering with the woman, have children, and literally pattern ourselves as men the same way Yahushua did, So you got to look at this thing like, how did Yahushua carry himself? How did the Messiah carry himself? Every time a spirit or somebody came up to try to get on him or say something or confound him, hey, he literally was humble for one. He was meek for one, and he literally was still in the mindset of doing the will of his Father. Not when he was under attacks or under straits. He kind of was about to do his own thing and kind of was smoking on his chest. Yeah, let's go. This is about me now. And a lot of brothers and sisters can forget that when you're dealing with certain situations. Now you're about to move in your own will and not in the will of the Most High. When you don't even realize that the Most High allow you to be put in front of that person to glorify him, to honor him. And a lot of times it ain't gonna feel good. You know, the Lord could have gave you a woman, and the next thing you know, y'all getting a divorce. And next thing you know, y'all got children. Next thing you know, you paying child support. Next thing you know, you're saying, well, hey, hold on now. I'm gonna do this. This is about me. You know, this is this and this is that. You know, when you gotta understand the Lord is literally doing what he wanna do. You know, we understand that the Lord, you know, had things go about for King David. The Lord had things go about for Solomon. The Lord had things go about for Samuel. The Lord had things go about for Enoch. The Lord had things go about for Elijah. We don't necessarily know, you know, if we having those same compassions, those same the same mercy and grace, you know. So when the Lord pull up on us and when the Lord deal with us, we want to be learned. We want to apply. We want to ask the Lord to guide us, ask the Lord to reveal to us, ask the Lord to have mercy and grace on us. We don't want to be wise and move in our own power and move in our own will, because Yasharala literally means prince, you know, of the power with God. That's literally, you got power with the Most High. So when you put in certain situations and when things come against you, you're not wise in your own eyes. You're not righteous in your own eyes, you know, because your pain, you may feel like your pain is this when the Lord can literally have it there. You may feel like, well, you know, I lost my job, you know, and hey, I literally lost my job, you know, and now, hey, the Lord using me. The Lord want to do this. The Lord want to do that. When it could be a whole different outcome or a whole different thing that the Lord want to do, you know. You can't just have that mindset. You can't apply that to what you think, because the Lord said his ways is not our ways. You know, let me get that quick precept right quick. Hey, because you can't always say, you know, this is what the Lord doing, and I've been keeping the law, statute, commandments, and the Lord dealing with me. You know, you can't have that mindset. You know, this is Isaiah chapter 55, and I'm gonna start at verse 8, because a lot of people, hey, you know, they may get jammed up, they may get a disease, and say, well, hey, you know, the Lord dealing with me, and then you may start being wise in your own eyes, you know, and thinking the Lord is putting you above other men, because we see that the Lord had the apostles, the 12 disciples, to be a witness, you know, for such afflictions and persecutions and being put to death for the Lord. And you may have that spirit say, yeah, you know, and then next thing you know, you saying the Lord ain't dealing with you, you know, you ain't catching hell like me, you know. Let me show you this. Let me show you that. This is Isaiah chapter 55, starting at verse 8. Isaiah 55, starting at verse 8. And it reads, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord Yahweh. So we can't just always think our thoughts, hey, this is the Lord, you know, or our ways, this is the Lord, you know. This is literally, hey, this is literally righteous. This is what I did. Hey, you got to do that. Hey, you can't do that, man. Now you allowing your will, your manifestation to be put in the ways of what the Lord trying to do. You know, you can't we can't do that. You know. So let me go back to this. This is Job chapter 9, and I'm gonna start at 19. Job chapter 9, starting at verse 19, and it reads, Job 9 and 19. If I speak of strength, lo, he is strong. And if of judgment, who shall set me a time to plead? Verse 20, Job 9 and 20. If I justify myself, my own mouth shall condemn me. If I say I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse. So, if justifying yourself is what you feel like that's something that's wise, you know, you don't want to have that look. You don't want to have that mindset, you know, because it's all about the Most High at the end of the day. You know, regardless of what route you're taking, regardless of what lot you in, regardless of what things is put in front of you, you don't want to justify yourself as being righteous, you know. just because you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Hey, that you can apply this same thing if you was literally on a job, if you was literally an employer, or it's like an employee, and you was working for an employer, you doing everything that they ask you to do. You know, you getting to work on time. You know, you if you got to meet numbers, you're meeting your numbers. You know, and then when it comes time or whatever they may do, as far as for the employees, for employee of the month, you know, or employee of the year, you may say, well, I didn't get it, but they got it. I'm better than them. You know, that's you being wise in your own eyes. That's you being over righteous. Because you're thinking just because you're doing what they ask you to do, you thinking you wise. You thinking you're the one that should have gotten that, you know. When why would you want that to sum up who you are, you know? And the whole goal is for the Lord to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what the goal should be. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You know, it shouldn't be, well, I'm mighty, you know, I'm on fire, you know, I'm not falling short, you know, because if you're telling yourself that, you may take your foot off the gas. You literally may take your foot off the gas, and you're not witnessing what's on the back burner. Now you got things on the back burner that you should be attending to. You should be doing things with your woman, you know, teaching, you know, helping her understand, you know, how to perfect cooking better, how to sew better. And now you're looking as on the corners, you mighty on the corners. Yeah, I'm on fire. You know, I know all of the precepts, I know all of the breakdowns. You know, I'm not falling short. You know, my brother's telling me I'm mighty, but your household is in shambles. You know, you're not giving your wife the fear of the Most High, and you're allowing your wife to fall short. You're allowing your children to fall short, but you're mighty on the corners. You know, you're mighty in the streets. You know, every stranger that comes up to you, they say, "Man, brother, you know the word good, brother. Hey, you on fire, brother. Keep it up, brother. Hey, I love what you're doing." But when you go home, hey, you got skeletons in the closet. You know, your woman trying to be affectionate with you. You say, "No, I gotta read." You know, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And the whole time, the Lord told us to be, you know, to be as He is. You know, just to the church. You got to be balanced. You got to have balance. You know, you got to be in a certain space where you're trying to hit every mark, and you're not trying to cut dry. You're not trying to take shortcuts. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to be done. You know, it's literally a lot of work to be done. So there's no room for saying, "Well, I'm perfecting. I'm perfected at this, and I'm not lacking nowhere." Hey, I'm led to believe every so-called Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, Judite, so-called Negro, Black, whatever you want to label them, everybody's lacking somewhere. Because if not, why would we need a shepherd? Why will we need Yahweh Shem Shah every day? You know, let me get this right quick in Psalms. This is the book of Psalms. Psalms chapter 119. Why will we have to read precepts like this if we had everything figured out? You know, this is Psalms 119, and I'm gonna start at, man, there's so many of these I can get, but I want to get Psalms 119, and I'm gonna start at verse 34. Psalms 119 starting at verse 34, and it reads, I'm gonna start at verse 33. Psalms 119 and verse 33. Teach me, O Yahweh, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Why do you have psalms that say teach you? You know, why would mighty men literally that the Lord literally used ask the Lord to teach them when they may have, well, everybody may say, "Hey man, this man got everything figured out. This man has won in life." They say that this man or this woman has won in life. They got everything set up right, you know. But the Lord is showing you that He's using the humble. He's using the meek. He's using those that keep themselves at a level of, Lord, continue to have mercy on me, continue to have grace on me. And they're not just putting themselves as, oh, I'm righteous, I'm on fire, Hey, it's no problem if another brother say that about you, or if another sister say that about you, or if another sister say that to another sister, or if another brother say that to another brother. All praise to the Most High. Call of Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushua. But you want to keep yourself in a position where, hey, you still look towards the Lord. Man, I want the Lord to have mercy on me. I want the Lord to increase me. I want the Lord to use me. I want the Lord to be able to, do what he got to do, So reading this again, Psalms 119, verse 33, teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Verse 34, give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart, And this is the one I want to get. I'm gonna go down to verse 27. I'm gonna go up to verse 27. Psalms 119 and verse 27, and it reads, make me to understand the way of thy precepts, so shall I talk of thy wondrous works. So it says, make me to understand the way of thy precepts. Because if you're dealing with affliction, if you're dealing with trials or tribulations, that can pull you away from literally being really in that spirit, and try to take away from you really getting in the spirit, And now you just solely focus on pain, suffering, trials, tribulations, and you're brought down to a lower level. So you're really not magnifying, all of the glory of the Most High. So reading this one more time, Psalms 119 and verse 27, make me to understand the way of thy precepts, so shall I talk of thy wondrous works. Verse 28, Psalms 119 and verse 28, my soul melted for heaviness, strengthen thou me according unto thy word. So that's what a wise man is literally asking for, literally praying for, literally meditating on. Strengthen me, according to your word. Give me the understanding according to your word. So let me get this in Sarat right quick. So being over righteous is you being wise in your own mind, you're being righteous in your own eyes. This is Sarat chapter 37 and verse 14. Hey, because your mind gonna tell you a lot of things. Your mind gonna say, hey, do this, do that. You got all type of spirits around you. You may be trying to get counsel from this brother, or if your sister, you may try to get counsel from this sister. You got to take heed to what's being given to you. You gotta go before the Lord. You gotta pray. You don't want to do nothing without prayer. You don't want to move without literally going to the Most High, and you don't want to make that decision without ending that decision with the Most High. Because Yahweh Shah Mashiach is the Alpha, the beginning, and the Omega, and the ending. So it's got to start with the Most High, and it's got to end with the Most High. Start with the Most High, end with the Most High. Don't end it with the Most High, and it's just that. Okay, I fell short, but damn, I just fell short. I'm keeping the laws, statutes, commandments. It is what it is. But let me ask the Lord for forgiveness. No, we should have went to the Most High, and we should have ended it with the Most High. Hey, even when you're looking for a job, say, hey, Lord, have mercy on me. Allow me to go to the path and the job that you want me to go to, if it's of your will. And then as soon as you get that job, you thanking the Lord for that job. Call it Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushua. Every day you clock in, call it Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushua. Even if you get fired, call it Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushua. And then before you look for another job, you go to the Most High. You throw out them prayers, supplications, fasting. And if you get that job, when you get that job, call like Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushua. Don't just you asking the Lord for the job. You got the job. Then as soon as you get the job and you showing up to work every day, you ain't even thanking the Lord for the job. You just pulling up in the parking lot. You ain't thanking the Lord that he got you there. That can be a sense of over righteous. You know, you're wise in your own mind. The Lord gave me the job. He was dealing with me. All praise to the Most High. And that's it. You don't pray. You don't fast. You don't thank the Lord. You know, you don't ask the Lord to have mercy on you. None of that. You know, you don't want to be like that. You know. So through the Spirit, you know, this is Sirach chapter 37. And I'm going to start at verse 14. Sirach chapter 37 and verse 14. And it reads, because your mind going to tell you a lot of things, you know. So this is why you should ask the Lord. Let me get this precept before I get this right quick. This is Isaiah chapter 26. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 26, and I'm going to start at verse 3. Isaiah chapter 26, starting at verse 3. And it reads, hey, this is one of my favorite precepts of all time. Literally the number one precept. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. So it said, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the creator of the heavens and earth, the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and ending, said he's going to keep you in perfect peace if your mind is stayed on him. Read it again. Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. So in your decision making, you're going to have peace. In your afflictions, you're going to have peace. In your distresses, you're going to have peace. In your pain, your sufferings, you're going to have peace. Why? Because your mind literally is on the Most High. Always, all the time. You know, before you even get tempted, your mind is on the Lord. Dang, you know, this ain't something I should be thinking about. This ain't something I should be doing. Maybe I should pray. Maybe I should fast. Maybe I should talk to the Most High. Maybe I should get into the Word. Your mind is always on the Most High. And if you're moving in that spirit, you're not going to be over righteous. You're not going to be wise in your own eyes. You're not going to be righteous in your own eyes. You know. So now I'm going to pull this precept. This is the book of Sirach chapter 37 and verse 14. Sirach 37 and verse 14. Kind of got to wind down. Got to speed it up a little bit. Sirach 37 and 14. And it reads, Ecclesiasticus in Apocrypha. If you ain't got your Apocrypha, get your Apocrypha. Hit him book. Sirach 37 and verse 14. Ecclesiasticus. Kind of got to show, you know, sometimes just for those that's coming into the truth that may not know. Sirach 37 and verse 14. And it reads, for a man's mind is sometimes wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen. So if you understand what a watchman is, literally somebody that warns you of the dangers that may be coming into the land or what's really going on. You know, they may have to blow the trumpet for the sound of the alarm, for a sound of war, or for whatever things may be going on in the land. You know, for a man's mind is somewhat for a man's mind is sometimes wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower. So your mind can be telling you many things, but you should want to get the counsel of the Most High. Verse 15, Sirach 37 and verse 15, and it reads, and above all this, pray to the Most High that he would direct thy way in truth. So if you're thinking, you know, that you're righteous in your own mind, you know, you know, you're being over righteous. So you should ask the Most High to direct you in the way of his truth and not your truth, you know. So hey, that's dealing with being over righteous. You're being righteous in your own eyes. So hey, you know, you can be overzealous as well. You know, it's many accounts that we can go to of our forefathers being overzealous or being somewhat, you know, over passionate about certain things. So let me get this quick precept right quick. And Philippians, let's go to Philippians. You know, hey, because Apostle Paul, he was zealous to the point where he was persecuting the church. You know, hey, going crazy. You know, they was keeping the laws. They was teaching about Christ, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, you know, and a Pharisee, you know, literally someone that literally just strictly the law. That's it. All law, statute, commandments. No spiritualness that comes about it. And Saul at the time, which is Apostle Paul, You know, his name was Saul before his conversion to the road to Damascus. And he was persecuting the church. You know, so hey, his zeal was on a whole different level, you know, overzealous. You know, this is Philippians chapter 3 and verse 6. And it reads, Philippians chapter 3, verse 6, concerning zeal, persecuting the church, touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. So hey, he gave you a blueprint on how he was coming about in the spirit, you know, saying, hey, if you you know want to talk about zeal, hey, I was zealous, you know, hey, I was going crazy for the law, you know, overthrowing households, overthrowing men of the Lord, you know, having men stoned, you know. If you saying you zealous, check this out. Let me show you what I did, you know. So I want to get the blue letter on zeal, you know, so we can have a clear understanding on what we're talking about and what we're dealing with, you know. So let's get the blue letter on this right quick. We don't want to, you know, run off without having a solid understanding. So this is zeal.
Strong's G 2205. Zealous. Zealous.
Trying to get the kind of, so zealous. So it says excitement of mind, ardier, vervia of spirit, meaning fervent of spirit, zeal, pursuing, defending anything, the fierceness of indignation. So, hey, you know, you fervent, you on fire, you know, but you don't want to be overzealous, you know. You showing your household how to have a love for the Lord, but you trying to show your child an example, or you trying to show your family an example. Next thing you know, you know, just throwing stuff across the house. You kind of just saying that ain't how you cook that food. Next thing you know, you take the dish and just throw it in the trash, just throw it at the wall. You know, hey, that can be overzealous. You know, you don't want to be overzealous, and now you become a lion. Now people just scared of you. You know, not saying you can't be austere, but you want to have some balance. You know, because like we read earlier, Proverbs 11:1. You know, a false balance is abomination to the Most High. So you don't want to be overzealous and you just overthrowing everything. You know, you're saying, hey, who made this dish at the feast day? This is nasty. If the Lord was here, hey, he would not be pleased with that. And now you just tell him, get that out of here. Now you just throwing stuff all over the congregation, in front of the congregation. You don't want to be overzealous, you know. So let me get this in the book of Acts. It's the book of Acts, chapter 8. And I'm gonna start at verse 1. Acts chapter 8 and verse 1, and it reads, and Saul, which is Apostle Paul, and Saul was consenting until his death. Talking about, you know, the stoning of Stephen, you know. And Saul was consenting unto his death. And at that time, there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem, and they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. And devout men carried Stephen to his burial and made great lamentation over him. As for Saul, he made havoc, meaning, hey, he was literally uh going crazy, you know, turning the place up, you know. As for Saul, he made havoc of the church, entering into the house. It's like entering into every house and hollowing men and women, committed them to prison. Therefore, they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word. Then Philip went down to the city of Samaria and preached Hamashiach unto them, and the people with one accord gave heed unto those things which Philip spake, hearing and seeing the miracles which he did. Hey, so Apostle Paul was going crazy, which at the time he was Saul, and he was literally, having people put into prison, literally overthrowing houses, because they was literally going, thus said the Lord. So he was overzealous, literally overzealous. And you don't want to get to the point where you just feel like that if it's not perfected in a certain way, that we're not doing that, which you're gonna fall short. Somebody besides you gonna fall short. And you don't want to hinder or be a stumbling block, So let me get this in Proverbs right quick. Lord willing, we're gonna get a couple more and wind down. Let me get this in Proverbs. This is the book of Proverbs. So like this the book of Proverbs, chapter 7, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 1, and it reads, My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. So, this whole thing is about keeping the law, statutes, commandments. Whether we do it to a perfected stage, because keeping the law, statutes, commandments is literally having things in perfection. Let me get that right quick. In Psalms, it's the book of Psalms. So you don't have to be overzealous. You don't have to overdo such things. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 19. And I'm going to start at verse 7. Psalms 19 and verse 7. And it reads, The law of the Lord Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. So, you may not be able to keep the new moon to the way you feel like you should. You should keep it in your own eyes. You don't want to be over righteous, saying, if I can't keep it like this, I ain't keep it at all. You don't want to come in that spirit. And you don't want to be overzealous, saying it's got to be like this. And if it's not like this, then it's wrong. As long as you keep it in law, statutes, commandments, all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And as long as you're not sinning willfully, all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So the Lord literally told us to be perfect by keeping the law, statutes, commandments. You're perfect. Let me get this in Genesis right quick. It's the book of Genesis. We're gonna get a couple more and wind down through the spirit. Genesis chapter 17 and verse 1. And it reads, I'm gonna start at verse 1. Genesis chapter 17 and verse 1. And it reads, And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord Yahweh appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God power. Walk before me and be thou perfect. So that's the same thing as Matthew 5 and 48. So he literally told him to walk before him, keep the law, statutes, commandments, obey him. Obeying the Most High is literally what we commanded to do, what we supposed to do. And when we doing that, all praise to the Most High. Continue to do that. Continue to walk like that. You may have to tweak some things here and there. You may have to be a little bit more serious about certain things, but you ain't got to be like, well, if it ain't like this, then I ain't gonna be able to keep it. Or if I ain't got this garment on, I can't show up. I can't show up to the feast day like this, looking like this. You don't want to be in that spirit. You don't want to be in that spirit. So let me get all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I'm gonna kind of rest right there. So let's get Leviticus right quick. Leviticus chapter 23. All praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Lord willing, you keeping new moon. Lord willing, you keeping a memorial of the blowing of the trumpets to the best of your ability. Let me get this right quick before we get into this. So when I first came into the truth, I didn't know anything about new moon. I didn't know anything about memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Wherever you are, a lot of people, they're gonna come into the truth, and a lot of people are gonna come into the truth and not even know a lot of the things that the seasoned Israelites may know about. When I say seasoned, you may have so-called Black, Spanish, and Native Americans that may be in the truth for 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, 20 years, 30 years. And then when the Lord comes back, they've been seasoned in this truth. But you may have some Israelites that may find out about the truth and come into the truth, at that last second, at that last minute. They may not be aware of the times and the seasons and the months. They may not be aware of that. But what they may be aware of is repentance, putting away the evil, the wickedness, and getting back to their heritage, knowing they're Israelites. So they may not be aware of how they're supposed to keep feast days. But the Lord said He's gonna have mercy on whom He have mercy, compassion on whom He had compassion. So let me get this right quick in Galatians. This is Galatians chapter 4 and verse 10. Galatians 4 and 10, and it reads, "Ye observe days and months and times and years." So if you a little into this, waist deep into this truth, you may be into the spirit of observing, like it said, days, months, times, and years. Literally what comes about with keeping these feast days. Yes, it's commanded for us to keep these feast days, these high holy days, but it's also about trusting and believing in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, making sure you focus on, being ready and watching and praying and forsaking the flesh and the cares of this world, and not giving into false doctrine, not giving into paganism, not being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, not being lukewarm. 1 minute you keeping the commandments, the next minute you sinning, you going off, you doing all type of wicked folly and madness, So if you're gonna get into observing months, years, seasons, make sure you still on fire for Yahweh Shem Yahushua as well. You don't want to just keep feast days and high holy days and still be going off and still be ducking and diving, going back into the world, So let me get this in Colossians right quick. Colossians chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at verse 16. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16, and it reads, "Let no man therefore judge you in meat." So, what is Apostle Paul talking about in this epistle? Let no man therefore judge you in meat. You had some that literally was dealing with food sacrificing to idols. They may had got a lamb, they may kept Passover, went and got a lamb from the butcher and asked, well, hey, was this food sacrificing to idols? Was this lamb sacrificed unto an idol? Dealing with 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Let me get that right quick, just in case somebody may not know what I'm talking about. So in Colossians 2 and 16, when they say, let no man therefore judge you in meat, somebody say, well, hold on, brother, want this animal sacrifice unto this guy, that brother really, you may have somebody that say, well, hey, I'm literally getting this lamb, or I'm literally getting this chicken, or I'm literally getting this beef for the Most High, reverence and honor the Most High. I didn't ask no questions. I'm not going to the butcher and having him open up the meat and saying, wait, hey, where did this meat come from? So this is what Apostle Paul was talking about. Let me get this right quick. 1 Corinthians chapter 8. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, and I'm gonna start at verse 6. 1 Corinthians chapter, I'm gonna start at verse 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 4, and it reads. So I'm gonna start at verse 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 3. But if any man love God power, the same is known of him. Verse 4. As concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world. So Israelites, so-called Black, Spanish, and Native Americans, we know that these idols aren't nothing. Isaiah 43 and 10, there's only one God. There's only one Yahweh. There's only one Yahweh Shah. We know that. We believe in that. We stand firm 10 toes down on that. So we know idols are false. So we're not worried about false idols. We're not worshiping false idols. We're not giving in to false idols. 1 Corinthians 8 and 4. As concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice, are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other God power but one. For though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many, but to us there is but one God, and the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Lord, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, by whom are all things, and we by him. So let me get this in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and I'm going to start at verse 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 3. And did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that offered them, and that rock was Hamashiach. But with many of them, God's power was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now, these things are examples to the intent we should not lust after evil things, also, so like as they also lusted, you know. So, hey, when you dealing with getting into these feast days and how things was literally done, you don't want to have your mind set on something that's literally over and being predicated as far as, oh, well, this is, you know, this is this and this is that. Hey, if you got family members that may be celebrating Christmas, hey, you know that Christmas is pagan. So why would you eat things dealing with family members that may be celebrating Christmas when you know really what Christmas is dealing with? You know, they may say, well, Christmas has they may say, well, this is how we celebrate Christ's birthday. You know, when you knowing that ain't what that's going into. So hey, don't deal with it. You know, you ain't got to go all overboard and say, well, hold on now, hey, you know, where we gonna do this and we gonna do that because this ain't got nothing to do with Christmas. Hey, don't eat that. You know, you going about your business, you going about your way. You know, you ain't got to deal with that. You ain't got to go all too crazy. You know, let me get this other precept right quick. Let me get verse 25. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 25. And it reads, whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat, asking no question for your conscience sake. So, hey, you know, you may have some people that say, hey, this animal may have been sacrificed into an idol, you know, but you understand that you ain't got no control of these butchers or this food industry, these food trucks coming in and coming out. So you're not asking no questions, you know. You just gonna get your food for the feast day. You're gonna get what you got to get, and you're gonna reverence and magnify and keep this day to the best of your ability. Reverence and magnifying and doing what's commanded of you according to the law, statute, commandments. You know, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Verse 27, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 27. If any man, it's like if any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for your conscience sake. You know, so if you go into a feast day with other fellow Israelites, hey, don't say where y'all get this meat from. You know, what market you get this meat from? Hey, where you get this lamb from? You know, hey, was it Kim Confon back there cutting the meat up? Hey, let me show you this. I seen something on YouTube where they said this butcher market, hey, they was worshiping Molech. Hey, don't do that, man. Go to the feast day. Keep this feast day to the best of your ability. Don't start asking no questions, man. You know, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 28. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not for his sake that shewed it, and for the conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Now, if they say, well, you know what, I got this from so and so at this low level butcher shop, they did tell me that certain men used to lay down with this animal, but they selling it for cheap. If they say such things like that, then don't partake in it. You know, don't even get down with it. If they tell you that it was sacrificing to idols, hey, you get up in the park. Hey, so your conscience won't be overthrown. You know, let me get this in Sirach chapter 14 right quick. Sirach chapter 14 and verse 1. Sirach chapter 14 and verse 1, and it reads, blessed is the man that had not slipped. So like it. I'm gonna read on. Blessed is the man, Sirach chapter 14 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that had not slipped with his mouth and is not pricked with the multitude of sins. Blessed is he whose conscience had not condemned him and who is not fallen from his hope in the Lord. So if they tell you, hey, this food was sacrificing to idols, you don't want to close out the feast day saying, man, I shouldn't have ate that food, man. Now you ain't even in the spirit that you're supposed to be in according to the feast day, the holy day. Now you just in a guilty spirit, waiting for the sun to go down so you can hop into a fast. And you ain't even taking, you ain't even keeping the mindset of this could be the last new moon. This could be the last memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. So you don't want to have that mindset, you know. So let's get Leviticus chapter 24. All praise to Yahweh Shem Shah. We're gonna wind down and we're gonna end this video through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah. Leviticus chapter 23, and I'm gonna start at verse 24. Leviticus 23 and 24, and it reads. Leviticus 23 and 24. So like it, I'm gonna start at 23. Leviticus 23 and 23, and it reads, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath. So this day is a Sabbath as well for those that's observing times, months, and seasons. You know, 7th month, the first day. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. So holy convocation meaning coming together with like-minded brothers and sisters, others who are aware that the Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you observing and understanding that the trumpets is an actual trumpet. Let me see if I got mine right quick. You know, a shofar, you know, and also understanding that for one, let me get this quick precept, you know, for one, that this was literally something used literally in the days of old that our forefathers and mothers was dealing with. Let me get on this in Numbers chapter 10 right quick. You know, it ain't just, oh, you got a horn and you just blowing it. It's literally a purpose and a literally a reason behind this. This is Numbers chapter 10. I'm gonna start at verse 9, and it reads, and if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets. Then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord Yahweh your God power, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. So this was literally a representation of sounding the alarm. Let me get another one right quick. This is Judges. Let me get this in Judges chapter 3. This is Judges chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 27. Judges chapter 3, verse 27, and it reads, and it came to pass when he was come, and it came to pass when he was come that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim. And the children of Israel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. So this is literally when we was against our enemies. Verse 28, Judges 3 and 28. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord Yahweh had delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty and all men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years. So, we understand that, you know, we had certain warnings. Now, America, they may not give a warning. They may just launch a missile and go to war. You know, they don't do things as far as the judgment of Yahweh Shem Shah. You know, they don't do things as far as how we as a righteous nation, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as Israelites, how we do. We sound the alarm. You know, we let you know our peace. And we like, yo, this is what we dealing with. This is what we trying to deal with. This is what we reasoning with. And I got 10,000 men. You know, I'm letting you know what I'm coming with. They ain't we as valiant men of war. We of what's the word? Devout men. We letting know what we about to do. We ain't about to just creep up on you and just shooting and dropping bombs. You know, we literally came decently in order as 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Let me get another precept. This is Leviticus chapter 25. And because when the Lord comes back, He gonna sound the alarm, the trumpets, the 7 trumpets, Lord willing, we can get into that on another on another video, So like Lord willing, we can get into that on another video on the time of the Most High, But you got Israelites that are going to be delivered. The Lord is going to set the captives free, because the Israelites are oppressed. The Israelites are subject to their enemies. The enemies have them oppressed, bound up in chains, and also the Lord is going to liberate and set the Israelites free from sin, being bound in sin, in this flesh, in this corruptible body, So let me get this right quick in Leviticus. Look, this Leviticus chapter 25, and I'm gonna start at verse 8. Leviticus 25 and verse 8. Going back to the law, you had Israelites that when they were sold, whether that be dealing with trying to get their brother back to a good economic stance, they wasn't sold and they wasn't set free, This is Leviticus 25 and 8, and it reads, "And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years, and the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, in the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself, in it, nor gather the grapes in it of thy vine undressed, for it is the Jubilee. It shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of this Jubilee, ye shall return every man unto his possession. And if thou sell aught unto thy neighbor, or buyest aught of thy neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another." You see that? Verse 15, "According to the number of years after the Jubilee thou shalt buy of thy neighbor, and according unto the number of years of the fruits ye shall sell unto thee." So being set free that 7th year, and this is literally the 7th captivity, because you dealt with the Egyptian captivity in 1500 BC, you dealt with the Syrian captivity in 720 BC, and you deal with the Babylonian captivity 586 BC, and you dealt with the Persian captivity 538 BC. You dealt with the Greek captivity 332 BC. You dealt with the Roman captivity 70 AD, and you dealing with the American captivity 1619 AD. So the 7th, and the Bible deals with the 7th as far as completion, a completion amount of captivities that the Israelites been in, So being this the 7th captivity, all spiritual, and dealing with oppression, the Lord is going to set the captives free that have kept the law, statutes, commandments, that have waited for him patiently, that have prayed, that have took in the affliction, the tribulations, and kept their garments clean, spotless, blameless. Revelation 16 and 15. Waiting on the second coming of the Lord. So let me get this in 1 Thessalonians. So the Lord is going to sound that trumpet, and is going to come back for those that's patiently waiting on him to set them free. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and 16. 2 Thessalonians 4 and 16, and it reads, "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God power." With the trump of God power. "And the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first." So those who died in the faith, keeping the law, statutes, commandments, trusting and believing in the Lord, even though they didn't see nothing right then, the Lord is going to allow them to rise first. Verse 17. Then we which are alive, and so those who are alive, in those last days, you know, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. You see that? So, the Lord is literally gonna have things, kicked off as far as setting things free. So let me, Lord willing, let me get this last precept. So this is Revelation chapter 8 and verse 6. And it reads, and the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound, going into prophecy, going into judgment and prophecy being kicked off, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, Revelation 8 and 7. The first angel, it's like it, Revelation chapter 8 and verse 7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of trees was burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt. So this is going into men and as well as women being a representation of trees and grass. Let me get this quick precept in Psalms right quick, to kind of get an understanding. This is Psalms chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at Psalms chapter 1. I'm gonna start at verse 3. Psalms 1 and 3, going into grass and trees and things like that. Psalms 1 and 3, and it reads, and he shall be like a tree. It says, and he shall be like a tree. So when you understanding how things is being parabolic and symbolic in Revelation, you got to go to another precept to help you get the understanding on what it's talking about. Psalms chapter 1 and verse 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Hey, because grass wither, grass kind of, get cut down and wither, kind of get brown and kind of die off. So the Lord, told us and gave us the representation that men and women, are like trees and grass, So let me get one more and let me get another one in Psalms right quick. This is Psalms. Let me see where I want to start at. This is Psalms. Let me see where I want to start at. Slocky, let me get this right quick. Where I'm gonna start at. Psalms. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 92. I'm gonna start at verse 12. Psalms chapter 92, starting at verse 12, and it reads, the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. So, men are, personified as trees. Psalms 92 and 12. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow, he shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted. So, if you in this truth, you like a tree. So how what fruit are you bringing forth? So the Lord is saying those that be planted. Psalms 92 and 13. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord Yahweh shall flourish in the courts of our God power. You see that? They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourish. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 8 and verse 7. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 7. And the third part of trees was burnt up, and all grass was burnt up. So when the Lord comes back, it's going to be judgment being sent to the earth. These missiles, this is how the earth is going to get destroyed in World War III. It's going to burn up a lot of men, women, heathen, Gentiles, as well as Israelites, So judgment is going to be issued on the earth. So verse 8, Revelation 8 and 8. And the second angel sounded. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire. So mountains also can be dealing with men as well, Let me get a quick precept on that. Mountains can be dealing with men as well. This is, let me see which one I want to get. This is let me see. Let me get this in Judges right quick. This is Judges chapter 9. Judges chapter 9, and I'm gonna start at verse Judges chapter 9. I'm gonna start at verse 36. Judges 9 and verse 36, and it reads, and when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, behold, select for pronunciation, behold, there come people down from the top of the mountains. And Zebul said unto him, thou seest the shadow of the mountains as if they were men. See that? So, many different parabolic, symbolic things. So you can't just look at things literal, you know. So going back to Revelation 8 and 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast down, so like it was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. So through the spirit of Paya Bashim, this day is about, understanding, how judgment is going to be issued with different sounds and different war, and also liberation, sounding the alarm, blowing the trumpet, and different judgments and different things that the Lord is going to be able to make manifest on the earth. So through the spirit, we're gonna blow the trumpet, Lord willing. This was edifying to you. Peace and blessing to the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the hope for the elect Israelites, God's chosen children. Lord willing, you keeping the new moon to the best of your ability. Let's get this in Psalms 81 right quick. Psalms 81 and verse 3. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 81, starting at verse 3. And it reads, blow up the trumpet and the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God power of Jacob. Called La Yahweh by Shema Mashak Shah. By Shema Mashak Shah. All glory and honor to the Most High, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Alpha Omega, Lord. When this was edifying to you, Brother Hosea Fisherman for Zion, happy new moon, happy memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, peace and blessings. Call La Yahweh by Shema Mashak Shah. Shalom.